Well, hello, welcome to Theology Still Matters. My name is William Hemsworth, and thank you for joining me. Hope everyone enjoyed the Christmas and New Year's Day holiday, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you out there listening, and hope you enjoy the new music today. My friend Jeff Perry produced it. Check out his music. He has a couple albums up on Amazon and iTunes. Great music, great ministry, great messages. God on My Soul is my personal favorite song of his. It's just great stuff. A couple housekeeping items real quick before we continue on with our Christology series is I will be getting a weekly radio show on KKMC 880 AM in Salinas, California. So I'll have more news on that as it comes available. Just waiting for the contract to come in. But other than that, today we're going to talk about a figure in church history known as Arius. And Arius taught a heresy which surprisingly is known as Arianism. So many heresies arose in the early church. Arius is the teacher of one of them. Arius was a student of a gentleman by the name of Lucian of Alexandria and was ordained around 311. He started to make waves when he denied the teaching of the Trinity, which was taught by his bishop Alexander. He was making waves because he was a brilliant speaker. He was a brilliant orator. He had a lot of charisma. People were drawn to him. And the words that he was using were laced with just enough orthodoxy to get people to fall for his teaching. Through the whole Arian controversy, the church was forced to clarify the relationship between the Son and the Father. Arianism was a big issue that had the potential to tear a young church apart. So what was so wrong about this teaching? So in short, Arius was teaching that Christ was not divine. More specifically, he was saying that he wasn't of the same substance as the Father. See, in his view, the Father existed first and created the Son, who in turn created everything else. He took passages of Scripture such as Matthew 28:18 and took it to mean that Christ was somehow less than the Father. So basically he took it out of context. He twisted its meaning. Arius' bishop Alexander, he became very concerned. This was his flock. Arius was teaching people. The bishop was responsible for those people, making sure they're being taught proper Christian doctrine. So this bishop was concerned. Now, for a time, he ignored these teachings, hoping that they would just go away. But it became very apparent that it wasn't, and Arius became more influential. So Bishop Alexander called a synod that publicly anathematized the teachings of Arius. So basically, this synod condemned these teachings, saying that they were heresy and not to be taught. One of the ways that Bishop Alexander and the synod did this, it was really very interesting. Alexander took Arius' Christology to task by showing that Arius denied the immutability of the Father. So basically saying that God can't change. Arius did this because in his view the Father was not immutable until the Son was finally created. And this is a problem because in Scripture we read several times that God does not change. So if God was something different after the Son came along, that means he changed, which means he's not God. This was the issue. That's how they called Arius to task with his false teaching. Though the synod acted swiftly to defend orthodox Christology from Arius, the teaching would remain for quite a while. This came to the attention of the Emperor Constantine via his own bishop, Osius. Now, as I said a little bit ago, this issue had the potential to end in a huge schism, and this would have had horrible consequences for a young church, but not only for the church, but for the entire Roman Empire. The Council of Nicaea was called, and at the end of the day, all 318 bishops were in attendance, and 2 papal legates were in attendance because Pope Sylvester was too elderly to make the journey, and they voted unanimously to condemn Arius. The Council Fathers heard what Arius had to say, but they also listened to what St. Athanasius had to say. They defended the doctrine of Christ by declaring that he is of the same substance of the Father, but not the Father. Since he is of the same substance, he has always existed and is eternal. The Logos, which is Jesus, knows all things before their origination, and Athanasius showed that this was an attribute of God, since God alone can know all things. The council declared that Christ was of the same substance by using the Greek word homoousios, which means of the same substance. So the teaching of Arius regarding Christ forced the Church to formally define the nature of Christ. The Council Fathers used a combination of Scripture and tradition to defend that deity of Christ. The canons that they laid out at Nicaea are still binding on the Church and is what the Church teaches today. In fact, when we go to Sunday service, we go to Mass, we recite the Nicene Creed as a statement of our belief. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Theology Still Matters. Well, we'll continue on next week with exactly what homoousios is and more of the debate regarding that. But the main thing to get today is Jesus has always existed. Period. He's always existed. He wasn't created by the Father, then he created everything else. Jesus has always existed. Period. God bless you guys. Have a fantastic day. God bless you.